Like, I mean, play to earn games, I'm all about it. Decentralized storage would benefit me. Running a node and getting rewarded in crypto for it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the VoskCoin YouTube channel. My name is Vosk and I'm here with Pavel, but I want to let him introduce himself and the project that he is with.
Hey everybody, glad to be here. Thanks Drew for bringing me on. My name is Pavel Bains. I'm CEO and co-founder of BluZelle. So BluZelle, what we do is we build content technologies and content for Web3.
Okay, so the Web 3.0 is a really exciting premise, and it's becoming more and more of like a buzzword of people realizing that this is the next evolution of the web as we know it. And how does BluZelle fit into Web 3.0? What makes like your project relevant, useful? What's the use case? What problem does it solve?
Yeah, so it was actually my co-founder, CTO Neeraj, his idea when we connected years ago that, hey, if crypto is the future, blockchain is the future, where things get stored needs to be decentralized as well. So for example, right now, if you store files or data, it's on AWS, places like Dropbox, one central place. He's like, if we're gonna have everything decentralized, it can't just be the money side and the ledger. It's gotta be, everything down there. So he saw as Web 3.0 is like, we need a storage layer where if you store something in one place, if AWS goes down or there's outages, things could be lost or you don't have access to the web, your website or whatever. Web 3.0 is that, hey, the nodes or wherever the servers are, they're all decentralized. So even if one goes down or can go down, your stuff's still accessible. So that's where we saw that it's solving that problem, that let's have decentralized storage that can just basically protect everything. A good use case would be example right now for everybody is your NFTs. You buy an NFT, Vosk, you can prove that you own it. But what if where that file itself actually goes down or on AWS where it's stored? Now it's gone. Sure, you own it. But now where systems like BluZelle come across is that, hey, you're storing it not in one place, but let's say a dozen or hundreds of places. So even if they go down, you still have access to it and it's always up. And that's really the use case right there for that.
So the first thing that comes to mind for me would be projects like Filecoin, one of the older projects kind of tackling decentralized storage, and then also Filecoin. I don't think that they're a direct comparison per se, but those are two projects that have kind of been, targeting that decentralized storage aspect. How does your project differentiate from those? How does it compete, and how is it, just simply potentially better?
Yeah, so two areas. So for BluZelle so let's take Filecoin because that's the biggest one right now, and it's running on IPFS, which is what everybody uses. So IPFS is decentralized in the sense of all the nodes there's decentralized nodes and no one's in control. There's no central party in control. It's like Amazon owns all the servers, but it's still kind of centralized control. But when you actually store something on Filecoin or IPFS, it actually stores only in one spot. So if that node goes down, your thing is lost. You actually have to go through a lot of work or almost create backup copies on different places. So it's not as natural or intuitive. With BluZelle, you store it on one place, but you're actually automatically stored everywhere. So we actually call the product BluZelle R2. So that stands for redundancy and replication. So you're instantly replicated everywhere and it's redundant backups, where a Filecoin, if I need another backup, it's like me calling up AWS and saying, instead of AWS East servers, I need some in the West and I need some in Europe. So it's not truly decentralized, I would say, when you actually put product there. So that's how we differ. I guess other side, we can touch on it later, is we're also transitioning, because of my background, and we can talk about it later, is my background comes from video games. And now with crypto gaming trying to prove mechanics, we're like, hey, we can actually do consumer applications that uses the power of BluZelle. So not only do we have a consumer product out there that people can use, other products can then see that, hey, this is what BluZelle can actually do for these type of games, because they're building an awesome game on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a nerd. I like crypto. I'm a gamer. It piques my interest, right? And so, do you, just to clarify, do you have your own token?
Yes. So we have our own token.
So can you tell us exactly, why you have a token, what it's used for, and also clarify the ticker?
Yeah. So the token is BLZ. You can find it mainly on Binance and Huobi right now. Been there since almost day one. So what it's used for is basically every time you want to store something, you got to pay in BLZ. It's an ERC20 token just on the token side, but when it actually goes to the product, it converts because we're running on Cosmos Tendermint. So because of Ethereum, as you know, the high transaction fees.
Ethereum could easily be $10,000 a coin. Easily. If their gas fees were not atrocious.
You actually can't use data storage on Ethereum. So our backend actually runs on Tendermint on Cosmos. So you enter the system with the BLZ ERC20 token. It switches automatically on our network to our Cosmos-based one. So that way all your storage payments are super quick, fast, and then all the nodes that are running our servers, they get paid in BLZ. And if you're a BLZ holder, to add more power to the network, you can actually delegate to those nodes. So then they increases the power, the security. So that's kind of that feedback loop that you're paying for it, and then the nodes collect it, and it gets recycled back in.
Yes! That's awesome!
So just roughly, what are the average returns right now for someone who's staking? So when you say delegate like that, that's kind of like delegated staking, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you would consider the staking in your platform, right? And then so just that aspect without running a node, what kind of roughly average returns are people receiving?
Right now, I think our estimated is around 23 to 25% APY.
What about running a node?
Oh, the node, the node doesn't actually cost that much. So, it's probably a couple $100 a month, right? Which they use for other things. And then we also have a program right now for the early ones to join the network where, hey, you join, you're doing some storage, we'll basically, compensate, subsidize some of those costs. So standard incentivization in the crypto ecosystem. And then as we start scaling up, they can start getting that. So really, because we're just early stages on the storage side, we're just getting customers test on it. So the nodes are really kind of just being incentivized right now, and people are staking.
That's very cool, especially because I have a background, especially in crypto mining, and it was that passive income appeal of, how can I earn more coins with hardware or spending time and doing other things and trying to be, an early adopter and so forth. And, in retrospect, it's wow, we all should have spent all of our time trying to mine Bitcoin, many, many years ago. And obviously the opportunity still exists, but nothing sounds crazier in retrospect to be wow, I could just have turned my computer on and mined dozens or hundreds of Bitcoins a day, But if it was so easy and it was so, if everyone saw the future and where all this was going to go, it wouldn't have been so easy in retrospect. But I've noticed, especially as mining has become much more industrialized, myself and many others have sought alternatives which have brought us to staking more cryptocurrencies. A lot of us have moved to DeFi, yield farming, and just, how do we get our capital working for us, get our coins working for us? And I think obviously the staking with your ecosystem is interesting, but also running a node and being, incentivized with that, even so you're taking away a lot of the burden of the initial risk by subsidizing some of those costs. And then it has that upside. So I think that's really cool and appealing. And just that passive income aspect of, I don't have to just dump a bunch of money and coins to get your token. I could spend my time and my hardware to participate, and that would also help build out your ecosystem and make it more valuable at the same time, which I think is really cool, and it adds a good level to your project as opposed to hey, this is a meme coin, this is all it does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's it's interesting is, in the traditional world, they'll always say in crypto, whether it's DeFi or storage, hey, they're just using incentivization techniques. How is this real? It's well, when I first got Dropbox 10 years ago, you guys gave me 500 megs of storage. Is that incentivization, right? To get in the loop, it was all paid. It was all free to play. There were essentially all these technologies were free to play games. They were using, and then once we got in it, it's all right, okay, I'll pay a bit, right? So it's interesting that they kind of the traditional world to kind of say, oh, well, crypto just uses these incentivization. It's yeah, you guys have been doing that the whole time. I'm old enough to remember CDs when you could order CDs like from these clubs, which is like $10, pay $5 and you were going to get 10 CDs. And it was just incentivization, because then for the next year I'd had to order one a month for $20. So, I mean, these are from the beginning of time, these type of strategies.
It's a good old shareware.
Yeah.
Free to start, pay to finish.
Yeah.
No, it's very true, and it's proven. It's a very good incentivization model, and I mean it's engaging because people are so hesitant to spend money, but they'll spend some time and try for free, and then be like, oh wow, this is really cool. I want to do this. I have no problem spending money, and it's that initial hurdle that you have to get over with kind of everything, that friction, that barrier to entry. Speaking of remembering CDs and kind of a little bit of your history, can you tell us more about you and kind of how you felt like you started this, and the background, the origin story?
Yeah, it's I mean, growing up I was into a few things, right? Rap music, science fiction, comic books, video games, and then finance. So fortunately, after finishing school, I was working in the video game industry and doing some music stuff. So that's all I was doing, is like mainly video games. Like I used to work for Disney Interactive, ran some video game studios as well, worked with Electronic Arts, Microsoft, Activision, so Nintendo, name them. So I was doing like from studio operations to business development, M&A. And then, eventually kind of just stumbled onto crypto, which I saw as a convergence of like, wow, this is like all the stuff I'm into. Political science, economics, science fiction, right? At that time, just basically, what were they calling it then? For computing, what SETI was known as. Just when all the computers would just get together and work together. So that was basically powered what blockchain and everything came from. So so that really kind of just struck a nerve and saying, hey, this is kind of the coolest stuff that I'm seeing. And that brought me from the video game space to saying, okay, let me go crypto, basically around full-time, like 2016. Originally, we're doing some stuff with BluZelle, just consulting, this and that, do some projects with KPMG, some banks. And then through those projects, that's when my CTO came up with, hey, we need a decentralized storage layer. Now, the funny thing is it's all gone kind of full circle, where in the last couple of months, once we saw kind of games started taking off, catch up in the crypto space, I was like, wait, okay, some stuff has been proven out. There's some games there. We can improve on that. We came from that background. So in stealth, we just kind of just announced it the other day, is we started working on a game that would run on BluZelle, as I mentioned earlier, and really saying, let's build the tech and have the content go up. So I don't know if you're familiar with game companies like Epic that did Fortnite. So Epic was started as, building game technologies. Unreal Engine was their main thing. That started taking off. And then through that, they're like, hey, let's make our own games to show off more power of it and generate revenue. And that's led to Gears of War, and then the most popular game, Fortnite. Valve, which is another big gaming platform, right, came out with more technology. Then they started doing their own games like Team Fortress, Left 4 Dead, Portal. So I kind of see the same parallels in Web3, is like, okay, we got this cool technology. We have the expertise from being in the games business before, know how to identify talent. Why don't I just make a game on top as well? So I've got a consumer product where I see all this convergence happening, and we've got the tech underlying it. And for me personally, I love it because it's combining everything I did in the past: finance, video games, crypto in one product, which is kick-ass.
This is what you've been training for.
Dude, man, it's like I tweeted out the other day. Sometimes you wake up now and you go, this is all I did when I was as a kid when I was 15, and now this is what I do all day for a living. This is rad.
Exactly. The world's changing, and it's some pretty cool, interesting ways, especially in this space. Mm-hmm. It's my biggest takeaway is just, so like we get kind of stuck in this crypto echo chamber, and we hang out with all these other people that love crypto. But if you step outside of that, it's crazy how much skepticism that there still is on like the cryptocurrency industry and sector, and how just resistant people are to change, even though like they are failing to realize that crypto in essence makes everything better, in my opinion. But I'm biased and bullish and all that stuff, but it's it's crazy. It's putting the power back into the people. Like, I mean, you just think like basically say like just take decentralized finance and like how that's going to completely reshape CeFi, like centralized finance. and how the most conservative platforms with the most conservative coins like BlockFi, which is, in the US, they have a like custodian for your coins, everything like that. You're an 8% interest, and like you take your existing just bank account and you earn less than 1%. And what you're dealing with there is a coin that is supposed to never go down, and like no risk, and all that stuff. And that's just absolutely insane. And some people still like scoff at that because they don't understand. It's like, dude, you could 8x your savings account without even thinking about it. And then you don't think that there's room for improvement across the sector, with everything like the decentralized storage. It's something that piqued my interest with Filecoin and the just decrepit Burst coin at this point, among some other cryptocurrencies, years ago, because I was like, why isn't this bigger? Why is there not more focus on this? Because like we talked about earlier, decentralization is kind of, and transparency is kind of like the core of crypto. And it's astonishing that so many cryptocurrencies just all sit on AWS servers. That's why I've always been a big fan of mining, because it's a decentralized, layer to cryptocurrency. But in recent years, it's been really failing to scale with higher transactions per second and so forth. But it's just like that appeal of decentralization and hosting your file in multiple sources that are not all in the same server farm, the same data center. It's astonishing that there's not 100 companies tackling this. So, I think you have that kind of first mover advantage there, and it's really interesting. And I think the only people that wouldn't have their interest piqued by that is they might just not fully understand, how things kind of work in the cloud behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things there that I've now started to understand. So in the traditional startup tech space, it's like, go fast, and if you have no traction, quickly pivot because you can't wait, right? What we've seen now in crypto is you actually have to wait and let the market kind of naturally catch up. So if we look at it in 2017, 2018, I remember, I know Loy from Kyber, right? He was doing a decentralized exchange. There was no volume, nothing for that first year, right? And it was like kind of like, all right, everybody's going to use centralized exchanges. And I remember talking to him like a year later, and he was saying, we're just at the behest of the industry. Like, we have to wait till it catches up and starts understanding. There's no way we can force this. And eventually it did, and we saw what happened, right? So if we look at now, DeFi proved it out. Now, if you're building an application, every developer in the world, the first thing they're going to trust is they have to go to centralized stuff like AWS because it's battle tested and proven. That's why Ethereum still gets all the developers for Enroll, because it's battle tested and proven by everybody. So I think now, as more products are coming out and more chains, the market is going to start to understand, even with NFTs, like the example that, hey, these decentralized storage layers do exist. They should be working. They're more battle tested and proven, and they'll start going on more. Like I said, we produce content as well. We'll show the power of that. Then eventually, Web 2 companies will start seeing that, hey, the Web 3 storage layers and infrastructure has been proven out. Let's start moving to that. So I think it's just a matter of time where we actually have to survive long enough, all these projects, that you can actually see the fruition of it. And DeFi is a perfect example.
So speaking of the things you're going to do, can you tell us more about your team? How many team members do you have right now?
So right now we've got eight team members. So myself, my CTO, and then 6 developers. And then on the game side, that's a different production team, a partner company that we work with in the game space called Starloop Studios. So we're still pretty lean, right? Managing things very well. Crypto winter obviously had, just like everybody else, freaked everybody out. And even when you go and come out of that, you still have PTSD of, oh my God, things could go back to that, right? So you're still always cautious of hiring and mainly using a core team and then contracting out to different groups for core areas.
Yeah, it's what you just said is just so entirely true. And it really, I think it's hurt a lot of projects that have been around earlier, including myself with VoskCoin. Is I was so hesitant to try to scale, to hire, because I'd just gone through a cold winter, cold crypto winter. And, obviously, like, I believe in crypto long-term by far. But, in crypto winter, we saw numerous pumps and we're like, hey, it looks like it's thawing. And then a blizzard comes in.
Yeah.
And it's really tough. It's really disheartening. It's like, especially like I can see in our metrics that most of it's kind of flipped. Most of our subscribers are new to the space.
That's excellent.
And that's crazy because the channel is almost 5 years old. But due to like the growth and everything, it's most subscribers, like this is their first piece of the cycle. So all they know is a bull run. All they know are the good times. And it's when you really get, just drug through the dirt for a couple years like that, it'll make you a different person. But you learn a lot, and it's very interesting. But you really get tested to see how much do you love this space, how much do you love this tech, or did you just want to buy Dogecoin and hope that it went up? And so I think when people they're able to survive multiple market cycles, that's when you have the strongest players. You have that experience, you have that kind of fortitude. And projects that were created before, like say this bull run kind of kicked off, like say yours, I think are naturally hesitant to try to like expand and rapidly like scale. You just end up a little bit more conservative. But if you expand too fast, you make mistakes, and then you have to lay off half your team if things kind of get tough. And I couldn't think of anything more heartbreaking as a founder to just be like, hey, like sorry, like we can't sustain you.
Yeah, it's it's brutal. I mean, going back to you said something, it's not just like you learn a lot about the industry, you actually learn a lot about yourself personally. Like how much can you endure? How much are you willing to have conviction or research? It's like, and it's a great life lesson for yourself for anything, like even if it wasn't crypto, just personally, because then now everything else seems easy. Like if you come through, like, you run into friends or something, they're like, hey, I'm stressed out about this or that. I'm just like, oh, that's just like nothing to me. You know what I mean? And going back to what you said, the founders, like when crypto winter really hit, now I remember me and my co-founder, we were sitting there like, we're like, man, the best thing we probably could have done at that time was actually laid half the team off or most of it right away and just waited it out. But you don't want to let people down. You want to make sure you get through it, and you're hoping that, like you said, oh, is it pumping? It's over quick. But don't worry, we're right around the corner. And then next thing you know, 2 years go by, right? And it's taxing on you. But hey, what doesn't kill you, right? Just go back to the saying.
Absolutely. And kind of on that same vein is, what do you think is like the biggest lesson you've learned just, with BluZelle, with your position, just like maybe also like if you could go back a couple years, what would you tell yourself?
I think it would just be like, hey, everything will pass. Like you'll get through it. It's like I think that's the best thing, that it will pass. Like even though you feel horrible and everything all the time, it's like it will pass if you just stick through it, right? And there's an interesting book by Ryan Holiday called "The Obstacle Is the Way," and you read that, and basically you just start adopting that mentality. And he's like, this seems hard. Oh my God, this works. But then if you start turning it the other way, it's like the obstacle is the way. I'm supposed to last through that. That is the path forward. And it's just mind tricks, right? So I think that's all it would be, is like trust your instinct still. I think that would probably, those two things, it'll pass, and don't start questioning your natural instincts that you had before it all took off or went down, right? Because there's something that was working, but then all of a sudden when it goes down, you start distrusting your own instincts and self, which can cause more damage. So I think those would be the two things.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and that's like a lesson that kind of rings true with everything, is just to try to like operate with like a tactical mindset in a way, and not just be ruled by your emotions. Like, oh, everything's green, I'm having so much fun, buy more. Honestly, that's the day you might want to take some profits. But it's hard to, you almost want to like flip your emotions. You're like, oh man, I want to quit crypto today. Buy more. And it's like, wow, crypto's the best thing ever. Maybe I should sell a couple coins. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people don't agree with that. Some people will hold their coins till the end of time. But, it's a balance, of course. And speaking of coins and your coin, looking at the exchanges you're on right now, I just pulled it up on CoinGecko. Mm-hmm. And you're very clearly driven by Binance. Binance is the biggest exchange in the world right now. And what has your relationship been been like with Binance? And I mean, I see you were listed very early, like you said, day one, and you've been trading on Binance for years. How has that been? I guess, how was the initial process to get listed, and how has it been working with them? And some things I've noticed that a lot of projects struggle with, say, like in the bear market, and many projects had very low trading volume and they were delisted, and how that could be really devastating. Have you had to face any hurdles like that, and how have you overcome those things?
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunately we were able to list right away. We'd done a really good job of building community awareness, and those are the early days where Binance kind of noticed that, right? And it's been a really good partnership working with them. Obviously, during the bear market, yeah, you're afraid that, hey, if we're not delivering and we just don't care, we will lose volume and we can get delisted. So for me, it wasn't a thing of, oh my God, these guys might screw me and just delist me. Well, then if they're going to delist me, it's a matter of maybe me not doing my job and doing enough to keep awareness, delivering, showing good progress to prevent that from happening. So you almost got to be kind of responsible for yourself. I do remember back then they would do that, like during the bear market. It was like a monthly report you had to show, hey, what did you guys deliver? Where's the team at? What's the size? What kind of major milestones happened? What kind of articles or even Medium posts? Like just all these different things just to show that, hey, we're actually attempting, we're trying, we're working through this. So for myself, my experience with them has been great on that side, because at least they were trying to see what you're doing, giving that's showing that, hey, you're putting your best effort in a bear market. And so we never really had any issues with that.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. And some people, there's such a sliding scale of emotions with Binance. A lot of people talk crap about it, but then they're using it all day. Some people say the CZ Mafia and things like that. Others have referenced insane fees to even be listed on their exchange. And many projects see like very good price movement after being listed, and they see a lot of volume. Was your experience with the listing, was that smooth? Did they pick you up with a fee? And did you feel like that was like a fair process?
Well, we don't like to talk about the exact process, but it was as smooth as can be. It was a great relationship from the start. Like I said, they contacted us, saw the project was, before we had even launched the token, was doing a lot of good, positivity, good marketing, people like the team. So ours with them it's always been great, right? Even, they'll come back sometimes and be like, hey, you guys can improve on this. Why don't you try a trading competition? And we're like, okay, let's do that, right? So it's weird. It's like, people can complain about it or whatever they say, but it's like, this is a platform you use. And if it didn't be around, a lot of people would not have made X amount of money, right? So you got to temper your kind of emotions on that, right?
So my next question is just kind of moving forward. What's next? What's next for BluZelle?
Like I said, it's really to go from the technology company, which was mainly known for, to consumer applications content. Content basically being the one I know and my founders know is gaming, right? We see this convergence happening really well right now. The space is picking up really good for it. Got its use cases. So for us, that's really it. It's like we've done the B2B data stuff. Doing a consumer product, one, is in our DNA. This is what I used to always do, is market and produce consumer products. It's really be good to have something that's more tangible that BLZ holders can have and understand to use. And then also at the same time, it shows the power of the storage network and technology behind it, going back to that Epic, Unity, Fortnite model. And then what it also does is it drives up more utility for BLZ, the token. So in the game denomination, we've outlined there'll be, we're looking at, hey, if we sell NFTs and things like that, they pay in BLZ. Well, we'll probably just burn, instead of increasing our treasury for the money, we can probably burn some of the reduced supply. As we get fees through payments and transaction fees, we can use that to either buy up more supply off the market or burn. You'll be able to do, the storage side, so all our validators, because the products, the digital assets and the NFTs are used in the game, they've got to be stored somewhere. They'll go onto our storage network, so now they can earn revenue there, and then people will stake more. So that's how we see that feedback loop come in. So adding a consumer product like a game actually adds to adds to the feedback loop and the flywheel effect, so it can just keep it cycling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's great. Just basic utility. If any pieces of your ecosystem really start to succeed, then it kind of brings everything up. And it's cool, you're thinking ahead and thinking about burning and just other like mechanisms to just kind of incentivize long-term use, long-term holding. I mean, it seems obviously like, you've done your research, you're on the right path and trajectory. So, I'm excited to see where you take this. Do you have anything else that you'd want the viewers right now to know about, like, you or your project before we finish this up?
Yeah, I think just in general, I think viewers, especially new ones coming on, what they would, I think, appreciate about crypto projects, not just like ourselves, but others, is that in this space, you've got some, like I said, people are always saying, is it this, is it that, and it's just price speculation. But I mean, a good example was yesterday I was talking to somebody who's probably early 20s, got into this space, finished university, and he's just like, hey, I just finished university, I was an athlete, I like crypto, and he just started doing research reports online just to get his name out there, and then ended up getting hired by a crypto fund. 6 months later, built really good relations, and the guy was just so energetic and happy about being in a space where he didn't have to go work a 9 to 5, work his way up, but he can like communicate with everybody, and it's almost like a democracy if you come in. And so forget about all what people will say about, price and speculation or what are these crypto guys doing. There's no way you can stop something when somebody's just out of university, didn't even care about the price, but the fact that I'm getting these opportunities. So all these guys can't be stupid. They're all building something, you know what I mean? Like, if I sit here and go, hey, I need to talk to another founder of a top crypto project, that in the traditional startup world, VCs or the startup guy would be like, no, I'm not talking to some new company, or I don't have time for this. But in crypto, I can contact, like, I'm not going to say their names, but a certain person, hey, I need to ask you some questions around this. And he's like, yeah, man, no problem. Just jump on the phone in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So that type of collaboration and community is just unbelievable.
I completely agree, and I think it's incredible. And that's something I've loved about the space too, is it's just, again, I'm a little biased, but it's the best space. It's so cool. It's so different. What's the point of like paying your dues and grinding for 40 years at some corporation just to kind of end up middle of the pack? Your high goal is, get a C title, and you're just miserable the whole time. You sit in 4 hours of traffic each day. I mean, I'm out, Shark Tank. The opportunities are truly at your fingertips with cryptocurrency, and that's a cool example and story you told, and that's someone who was just truly intrigued, and they saw the opportunity and they appreciate that, and they put the effort in, and it's working out for them. I firmly believe that there's no one who tries really hard that doesn't find some level of success. It's just like if you put the effort in, you sprinkle a little bit of passion on there, like, you're going to end up somewhere decent. It's the people who kind of sit around and complain and whine. They never get anywhere. They're not really doing anything. It's I talked to a lot of people outside, maybe not a lot of people. I talked to some people outside of the space, and they complain about their job or this and that. I'm like, well, I know I always say this, but how about you consider cryptocurrency again? I told you this year over year. They're like, I don't want to learn Bitcoin stuff, whatever. I'm just like, okay, but like everyone's hiring. They're like, well, I don't know how to code. I'm like, there's much more than just being a coder. There's businesses and projects and everything that need every type of personnel. Sector's booming, but all right, just kind of keep working your job you hate. Good luck.
Well, going back to that, interesting is like trying new things, and that's what's really cool about crypto. If there's one, like, for the new people coming in, is like projects that they're following, they should be looking at. In crypto, you got to keep trying new things. Like, if you stay static and if something's not working, you got to just experiment. More so than in typical startups. So like for us, if I was working at somewhere and where, let's say, I was doing storage and this and that, and it's like, hey, there's an opportunity to do games or something new and try it out because the consumer's like that and we can do it, they'd be like, no way, you got to go through this long process, right? In crypto, it's like, if we have the skill and we can quickly try it out, you need to be rapidly doing things. And then if you're new into the space, like you're saying, a lot of your users, right? As they're following along, they should be following the projects that are regularly experimenting, trying new things. Because if one's not working, you can't just sit there and wait and, play dead, like, you know, just sitting there, right? You got to be just, okay, what's the next thing? What's thing that we can try and experiment, put out there, and see if it keeps happening, right? And those, if you look at the best projects over the last 3 years during crypto winter, I mean, Binance is a perfect example of it, right? Never rest on their laurels. They just keep trying something new, and it doesn't work, move on past and just keep doing it. That's the only way you're going to find success.
Really cool. I mean, appreciate you coming on and taking the time to connect. And it was really cool to learn more about your project, especially from your point of view. And I guess just I'll ask one more time, is there any like last thing you want to cover before we go ahead and sign off?
Yeah, I think I would say that all the people coming on, I mean, it's pretty easy now. It's all been proven out, right? If you believe that the future should be decentralized and have more sovereignship and control and not be by central authorities, then you got to believe that just the infrastructure's got to be decentralized. So products like BluZelle. And if you have products like that, you know, you got to have content. Then you got to believe that, hey, what's going to be the next sphere that makes the next billion people come into crypto? They're not all finance savvy, as you said, right? They're more, you got a whole generation, like my kids who are growing up on gaming and will understand finance through that. So then you got to think that gaming is probably going to be, NFTs have proven that it's a culture component. Gaming is another extension that combines NFTs, so that's going to be the new gateway to basically onboard all these people who be like, hey, I'm going to play these games, do play to earn, learn about these tokens. What does that mean? I have to exchange it somewhere. Oh, okay, I got to go to this place, or I got to go to a DEX. So it's actually going to be the best educational on-ramp for all the next billion users who come onto it, which builds out the ecosystem. So if you're out there and you're watching us, you should be like, all right, these guys are building the core tech and they know how to build the entryway products that'll bring the next billion on.
Absolutely. Well, seriously, I really appreciate you, Pavel. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure talking with you, and it was really cool to hear, you know, just from you everything about BluZelle and the history, and just yeah, I'll be honest, I'm intrigued, I'm interested, I'm really excited to see where you can take everything. Your use case, you know, it's appealing, and even just from a simple consumer point of view, what you're working on, I would like to have. Like, I mean, play to earn games, I'm all about it. Decentralized storage would benefit me. Running a node and getting rewarded in crypto for it, I mean, okay. Like, all right. Fine, you sold me.
Oh, man, I love it. You summed it up so well. I love it. I'm going to use that. I like breaking down those 3 points. I'm going to have to use that in our own, you know, positioning statements.
Hey, royalties.
All right.
So, I'm just kidding. All right, well, again, thanks so much. Thanks everyone who took the time to watch this interview. And Pavel, say goodbye to your new friends.
Hey, thanks everybody for jumping in. This was a good time and great questions. I had a good time.
Awesome. Hey, and as I have to say on every video, subscribe. I'll drop the links down below. You can learn more about Pavel and BluZelle. And above all, leave comments. Let me know any questions, things that you wanted me to ask that I didn't ask. I could follow up. I could bug Pavel and his team to follow up. And yeah, let us know. And of course, smash the thumbs up. We'll see you on the next one. Have you ever wanted to get into Bitcoin mining, but you don't know where to start? Well, we'd recommend our sponsor, Compass, who not only will connect you with mining farms and you can host Bitcoin miners there, but now they also sell Bitcoin miners that they'll ship directly to your house. Learn more about Compass with the link out in the video description below. Please be advised, there are scammers impersonating us on multiple platforms. I don't want your money, I just want you to smash that subscribe button. Everything in this video is for entertainment purposes only. That means it's not financial advice.